If your motivation spikes at night and then crashes in the morning, keep watching because in this video, I'll show you 3 simple ways that will stop motivation dips from turning into days when nothing gets done. And what I'll share with you comes from survival, not theory. In 2013, my family and I had to leave my home country to escape violent crime, forcing me to learn a new language, new skills, and rebuild my career from scratch. I had to downgrade from speaking on TV and lecturing to accepting jobs that made me question my identity. Today, I own a business and run a foundation that helps young people climb out of the same hole I was once stuck in. The turning point wasn't more motivation. It was building a structure that protected the motivation I had. To do that, you need to understand what motivation actually is. And when you do, a lot about your bad habits starts making sense. Motivation is split into 2 parts, motives for action and motives for rejection. Every time you're about to do something you don't feel like doing, a fight starts between you and the self. Now, if you're new here, the self is the part of you that is designed to avoid pain, save energy, and look for comfort, even when that comfort pulls you off track. When you push through and start anyway, you use a motive for action. Your performance goes up and momentum builds. But if you don't start, progress drops, and you slide into tasks that feel productive. Now let's look at the other side of the motivation battery, motives for rejection. When you're working on something and feel the pull to switch tasks, another fight starts. If you say no to the self and stick to the task, you use a motive for rejection and keep your momentum. But if the self convinces you it'll be just a quick check on your phone, you've stepped out of the task and straight into self mode. We all know what happens next. One check leads to another you weren't planning on, which leads to another scroll, another tap, and by the time you get back into you mode, you've lost momentum on the task you were working on. That gives the self more control, and that's when it tells you that tomorrow will be better. I want to demonstrate this to you in real time. Let's do a quick experiment. So I'll pause for 3 seconds, complete silence, and I ask you to do nothing but notice the self's pull. Let's go. Did you notice the pull? Was the self suggesting that you switch tasks, maybe switch videos or skip ahead? That's because when there's no structure, the self likes to switch. Now you stayed anyway, and for that you had to use a motive for rejection. The stronger the pull, the more you have to drain your motivation battery. Here's what most people miss. If you don't want to lose momentum, you have to protect your motivation. Here are 3 ways high performers do that. 1. Keep temptations away. The best way to win a fight with the self is to avoid it altogether. If there's no temptation, there's no tension. This is about designing your environment so that the self doesn't get invited. So if you have the tendency to check your phone frequently when you are working, place your phone completely out of reach. You see, the self hates to waste energy, but it loves a quick round of pleasure. So it weighs up the 2. The effort of getting to your phone versus the reward of checking it. When the cost is high, the pull from the self gets weak. Once you've created a self-proof environment, you get to choose where your motivation battery gets used. Which takes us to the next point. 2. Match task types to the motives they need. Your motivation battery drains as the day goes on. So do the work you don't like doing when your motivation battery is still full. That not only gives you a kick of motivation for getting the job done, but it also gives the self less room to come in because you feel that you are in control. Now, sometimes your day drains everything out of you, and that's a very dangerous space to be in, which is what we're going to cover in the next point. Number 3, be extra careful in the red zone. When your motivation battery is low, the self gets stronger. The red zone isn't where you build discipline, it's where you protect your consistency. So if you're trying to stay off social media at night to improve sleep quality, don't open the app for a quick check. If you're trying to cut down sugar, don't walk past the dessert aisle. High performers don't pick fights they can't win. They just avoid them. And if you want to understand how motivation leaks even before the work starts, There's a video in the description on decision fatigue, which I'm sure you'll enjoy. Here's one safe fight you can get into with the self right now. Leave a comment with the one thing the self keeps pulling you away from. No need for the perfect answer. We're all just trying to explore patterns here. Thanks for watching all the way through. For more on the self and staying consistent, you know what to do. Just make sure the decision comes from you, not the self. Thanks for your time, and stay in you mode.